welcome to the City Commission meeting for September the 24th. If you'll rise, we will have Commissioner Holberg to bring our invocation and Commissioner Mora to bring our pledge to the flag.
Please join me in prayer. Father, we are here today to ask for your blessings and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented. Make our solutions fair and just to the best interest of everyone. Help us to overcome our shortcomings and to keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. We pray in your name. Amen.
Please join me in salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got another one like that. This is right there.
Good evening. You've come on a nice night. We have no proclamations to issue this evening, so we'll go right into citizen comments. At this time, I will open the floor for comments from the audience. Comments should relate to a specific agenda item not listed on the agenda or for a public hearing, or to a concern within the jurisdiction of the City Commission period. Commission meetings serve the purpose of conducting city business and are not a forum for the unlimited expression of opinion. The chairperson reserves the right to limit comments to matters germane to city business and may refer speakers to the city manager or other staff for resolution. Having said that, is there anyone on my left who would like to come forward and make a comment? Is there anyone on my right who would like to come forward and make a comment? If not, then we'll go into our public hearings. Public hearings are conducted to allow public comment on specific advertised issues such as rezoning, ordinances, policy development, operating budgets, and other legislative actions to be considered by the City Commission. At this time, we will receive comments regarding a request to rezone approximately .66 plus or minus acres located at 669 South Hill Street from low-density residential B, LDR-B, to Planned Commercial District, PCD, submitted by Dr. Stephen Durham. Taurus Freeman will address. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the Commission. Our first case tonight is a rezoning, as you stated before, located at 669 South Hill Street from low-density residential B to Planned Commercial District. This application was submitted by Dr. Stephen Durham. The Planning and Development staff has visited the site and formulated an evaluation of the proposed rezoning based on the Unified Development Code, the 2024 Comprehensive Plan, zoning, and the Spalding County Tax Assessor's data. The applicant desires to use the property for a dental office, and he has submitted a preliminary site plan that is included in your packet. This property was formerly owned by the Church of Christ. This is now under private ownership, and they are wishing to rezone the property. Based on the information that was provided to staff recommended denial of the request. However, at the last Planning and Zoning meeting, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of the request.
And that was a split decision?
4-3.
All right, at this time, this is a public hearing, and public hearings, as I said, are conducted to allow public comment on specific advertised issues. Is there anyone on my left who would like to come forward?
Chairman, Mr. Bullard is here tonight representing the applicant, so he would have to go first.
All right, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. It's Edward Bullard, and I live at 690 Brook Circle here in Griffin. And many of you I know, and many of you I'm meeting here tonight for the first time, but my client, he'll speak here in a moment, he is a local dentist. He is wanting to have the property rezoned without changing the structure other than to accommodate a dental office. He's not looking to tear it down. He's not looking to build something different. I actually went through every property along that stretch, and every property to the south leading up to it, starting with the City of Griffin Fire Department, Dr. Vann's office, CPA Hardwick's office, O'Neill Building, and then the apartments, every single one of them is zoned PCD. Then you have the Church of Christ. Then you have this particular building, which used to be the parsonage for the Church of Christ. I have some pictures here, and it shows that the only access to this building is through an ingress and egress easement from the parking lot for Church of Christ. We also have sufficient land, as you'll see on the site plan we had drawn up, to accommodate enough parking spaces and handicap accessible parking spaces for a dental office on site. All the property to the west is already zoned PCD. Most all of it is medical offices. In fact, the parking lot of this runs into a medical office. I believe it's Dr. Velasco's office that you can see on here. I understand there's some people from the community are here. They were here at the prior hearing, and their concern is that they don't really want to open the floodgates to everything there being rezoned commercial. This property is .66 acres approximately in size. In order to have a commercial building there, you have to have enough room for one parking space per 100 feet of space of the structure, and you have to be able to accommodate handicap. This will accommodate that. If you look at the tax map, and I looked them up today, most of these are a quarter acre to maybe .4 or so of an acre. So even if any of them going up to, let's say, Grave Street were to apply, they're not going to be able to accommodate the parking to do that anyway. I pulled the prior rezoning request for United Bank that had the structure immediately to the left of the, if you're facing it from the road, the main bank building rezoned. In that application, staff recommended approval, and it was unanimously approved. Part of the reason that it was approved is, if you'll just permit me to read this, it says, the area surrounding the proposed rezoning is a mixture of uses including single-family residential, some multifamily, and commercial. The existing low-intensity zone of the LDRB was implemented to reduce density and enhance positive development. The area located directly behind this property is zoned commercial. It says the rezoning would permit United Bank to expand their services and so forth. This will maintain the general character with existing dwellings and permit an existing business to expand. So this is very similar to United Bank's application. I understand other applications have been denied where I think another bank wanted to tear down some structures and build a new structure. This will maintain the integrity of the look of the structure. To the east is the old Herschel Harrington Studio Inc. structure where I believe they would maintain carousel rides and set designs and that sort of thing. I had a petition signed by most of the adjoining neighbors that immediately adjoin. As I said, to the south is a church, to the west is all medical, to the north is a property owned by United Bank, and to the east is a house that sits kind of way off, that's kind of shielded from view. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, if you looking north of Milner going up to Oak, almost all of the properties are not owner-occupied. In fact, more are not owner-occupied than are. And I wrote down the names of all the people that own them. I'm not going to belabor the point. John Baird, I know he doesn't live there. That's an investment. Miss Flournoy, I believe, has one there. She doesn't live there. Todd Thacker, I personally know him. He has two. So this is not against kind of the vein of what's occurring in the area there. And again, he's not going to change anything as far as the appearance. It's not going to unduly impact utility use, traffic in the area, and it would be a nice addition to the area. And also, I have a letter from the pastor of the church that's very nicely written. I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but he says that they would welcome the addition to the area, and they, quite frankly, have had some problems with the tenants that have been in the property since the church sold it. But I would reserve further comment. I have some pictures, if you would like to thumb through them, that shows the layout, and as you can see, it's got an expansive parking lot, and it has, it only has access through the parking lot. And if possible, I believe my client might want to make a few comments as well, and I will reserve some comments based on the comments from the neighbors. And I know several of them are personal friends of ours, and I live here. I don't want to do anything to ruin the integrity of what I know are some of the historic zones of nice houses there on Hill Street and College and Maple around there. I'm sensitive to that, but I think that this is a very unique piece of property, given its size and the fact it was a parsonage, and it has the parking lot it kind of shares. In fact, if you look at the address, the church in this, they both have the address 669 South Hill Street, so it kind of flows together as a property, and I think that they would like to have a symbiotic relationship of sharing parking and so forth going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Durham, please state your name and your address.
Good evening. Stephen Durham at 60 Quail Hollow, Griffin, Georgia. I'm a general dentist in Griffin. I've been in Griffin and practicing for 32 years. And I've raised a family here and have started to raise a new family there. And the site that I see on South Hill Street would be very convenient for my present location for patients to move just up the street there. And I think, again, I take pride in ownership, and I think I can really, I know I can make it look very nice and attractive. So Hill Street is a main street that goes north and south, and there is a lot of activity on that particular street. And I like to preserve that integrity along that street.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we will open the floor for comments from the audience. And we will ask those on my left to come forward and state your name and address for the record if you choose to make any comments. All right, please come forward, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Warren Scoville. My family has lived in Griffin for the last 48 years. 37 of those years we have proudly lived at 567 South Hill Street. We too have raised our children in this community. They're all products of the public school system here. And some of you may know my family. When we came here in 1965, one of the things that impressed us was the uniqueness of this community, the historical significance of Griffin to the state of Georgia and to the southeast. And being a history buff of sorts, that appealed to me very much. In fact, when General Griffin laid out the city of Griffin, he named several streets after the directors of his railroad, the Monroe Railroad. Taylor Street, Solomon Street, and Hill Street were all gentlemen who were directors of his bank. There are some significant things about Hill Street itself that some of you may or may not know. For instance, if you stand at the intersection of Hill and Solomon Streets facing north, right here, everything that falls, water that falls to the right, which is east, goes into the Atlantic Ocean. Everything that falls to the left or west goes into the Gulf of Mexico. This is the Eastern Continental Divide. Hill Street is the Eastern Continental Divide. That was one reason General Griffin selected this location for his railroad. when the railroad was built from Macon and came north, and he wanted to move it through Forsyth and on to Griffin and north, they realized they would not have to build a single trestle or bridge to have that railroad on that line. That is still true. If General Griffin had gotten his way, this would be Atlanta, and Atlanta would be something else in terms of how it has developed. Some of you may or may not know that our beloved poet, Sidney Lanier, has a connection to Griffin. His father served on city council for Griffin back in the 1800s. The old home place is here on Hill Street, and Sidney Lanier was baptized in one of our local churches. The 500 and the 600 blocks of Hill Street are one of the few last districts, historical residential districts in this community that are still virtually intact. The last time I stood before you was when the request came that the gentleman indicated that a bank from Fayette County wanted to put a branch over here on Hill Street at Hill and Oak Street. And we opposed that, people who live on Hill Street. Not because it was a bank, not because it was across the street from United Bank, but because we knew that one or two things would happen. The bank would be successful and grow, and they'd move somewhere else and sell the property. Or the bank would fail, and they would sell the property to someone else. You turn that zoning request down, thank you. So, we don't have a massage parlor, we don't have a tattoo parlor, we don't have something else on Hill Street that we would have not have wanted, that wouldn't be in keeping with the integrity of our residential area. And that's our request today. These are my neighbors, my friends who are here, and that's the request that we're making of you. And that is, maintain the integrity of these last 2 blocks in Griffin that still have some of the significant old homes on it. The old beautiful homes on Solomon Street are gone. The ones on Taylor Street are gone. Taylor Street now is Grease Alley. One fast food restaurant right after another. That was progress. We don't object to the good doctor having his practice on Hill Street, but there are other sections of Hill Street where he could locate. In fact, I believe he's just down the street now where his office is. But it's not residential down there. We want to maintain the integrity of our part of Hill Street. We thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Schofield. Is there anyone else on my left who would like to come forward and make a comment? Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Jim Campbell, 585 South Hill Street, Griffin, and everybody here should know me.
We do.
And I'm not a slick talking lawyer that's going to talk all the way down the street. We're talking about the section from Milnes to Oak. It's residential. It's residential, been residential. I've lived there 37, 38 years. Mr. Campbell. He's been there since 76. The Blankets have been there since the 50s, 40s, 12s. Who else I see out there? But we're asking this group here to maintain a residential thing, because poor Steve Durham, and I've known him for a long time when he first came to Griffin, and he has a couple of gem stories he can tell. But 10 years from now, when he retires, what's going to happen? That building is still zoned commercial. And then you got the house next to it. I know I would never, ever would like to open a business with no direct access to the highway. And he'll never get that. He starts paving in the backyard, where the rabbit's gonna go. I ask you to vote negative on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Aye. Robin, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Robin Nance, 611 South Hill Street, Griffin, Georgia. And I have several of our neighbors down there. They would like to, I'd like to have them stand up just so we'll be recognized. Thank you. As a resident of South Hill Street for over 39 years, it's been the Hill Street residents' desire to maintain this area from Oak to Milner Street as a residential neighborhood. There have been several rezoning requests over the years, and the City Commission has always agreed to maintain the residential zoning. In addition, the long-range zoning plan has always maintained the area as residential. I would be opposed to the rezoning request for the property to be used as a dental office, and in my opinion, there should be an ample amount of land already zoned for medical office space. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on my left who would like to come forward and make a comment? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
I'm David Castro. I live at 705 Wetland Drive. As a crow flies, I'm about 2/10 of a mile from the property in question. My family bought that house in 1941. You can add up the years. I'm 75, almost 76, and I moved in when I was 4 years old. I've been away from there a few years, and I'm back, and I've been back since 1969. I'm on the zoning board, but I'm here as a resident. I will have to public comment on the zoning board before I come back down. But the city, the zoning board, and the permanent staff of planning commission and the code department and so forth put a great deal of effort, time, and expense into creating a medical overlay district which encompasses South 8th and South 9th. As all of you are aware. That's where this belongs. It doesn't belong on South Hill Street. It belongs in the medical overlay. We have no guarantee once it goes into commercial business district what goes from there. None of us are guaranteed our next breath. And God forbid it happen to stay down and not anybody else. But if something happened, and that thing is all in commercial business district, I can say, right on the wall, and I'll start straight in.
Mr. Castile, can you back off the microphone just a little bit?
Okay, fine, thank you. I didn't know that I was overmodulated. There's all sorts of things that could go there on a commercial business district, as I'm sure all of you are aware, and it's not only for me to burden you with them, but they are some great deal more objectionable than that. Dentist office would be. And what is, and I want to clarify this, I'm speaking of the original 1 mile radius from Hill and Solomon as the original central city of Griffin. And within that central city of Griffin, the quadrant from South Hill around to East College Street with appendages such as Brook Circle is the last bastion of well-kept, mostly owner-occupied homes in the city of Griffin, in the original city of Griffin. Now, I'm not talking about the country club and all the other nice homes we've got in other places. I'm talking about the original city. And it was brought out about United Bank. Now, I don't have to reply to that one as a member of the zoning board, because I voted for that. I voted for United Bank to get that house next door. But I personally asked them a question. I asked them how they were going to keep the appearance. Were they going to keep it residential? Were they going to have any parking between the building and the street, or was it all going to be in the back? I was told it would all be either in the back or next door at the bank, main building. Well, after they got rid of it and they made the property payment and exchanged it and got it in their hands, the first thing they did was put 3 parking places between the curb and the front of the building. 2 between the sidewalk and the building, and 1 between the sidewalk and the curb. and I guess I can rest my case on that.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else on my left who would like to come forward and make a comment? Is there anyone on my right who would like to come forward and make a comment? Did someone raise their hand? Yes. Yes.
Edward Bullard again for Dr. Durham. There's basically two roads we're talking about that are north of Milner. I believe the first one is Grave, then you go up to Oak. The three properties immediately south of Oak are all PCD. The first is United Bank. The second is the last property that was rezoned unanimously for United Bank. And below that is a property owned by Cardinal Group, LLC. It also is PCD. So if you want to get up to Oak, those are commercial properties there. As far as the rezoning application for United Bank, it said in where it was approved, it says, the nature of the proposed rezoning is such that there would not be a diminishing of the property values in the surrounding area. Commercial zone property will not endanger the existing residential dwellings in the area. The proposed rezoning appears to be compatible with existing uses. My thoughts there are, the structure is not going to change. If you want to put a condition in there, of course he'll have to make some changes to the inside, but the skeleton structure will still have an appearance that'll look nice with the area. He doesn't plan on changing that. I respect Mr. Castile's comments about the parking lot, but obviously this property already adjoins, I'm going to venture a guess, of 100 parking spaces. And if this is denied, I would say that this violates equal protection because United Bank had one unanimously rezoned. They agreed to maintain the structure and appearance of a house. He's looking to do the exact same thing that United Bank did. He's looking to put a lot of his own money into it to make it nice and improve it and get it out of a dilapidated condition. And, of course, no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow, but I would think continuing to have the less than desirable tenants that have been in the house would most likely do more to bring down property values and make the area less nice than a reputable dentist making a nice office there. So if you would just consider that, I appreciate your time, and we certainly will respect your decision. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the commission board?
We got one gentleman raising hand.
I have one too. Is the person next door to the north here tonight, I forget the name.
United Bank?
No.
It's filled in on the sale bank owned.
It's bank owned.
The Southeastern Real Estate LLC, that is a Delaware corporation that's owned by United Bank.
So the one just next
Immediately
door,
to the north.
zone residential, but it's in foreclosure. What's the situation?
It is owned by Southeastern Real Estate Development LLC. The foreclosure has already gone through, and
So it'll be used as a residential rental.
correct. But if you were to look, I reiterate, the other lots are considerably smaller than this particular lot. So even if they were to come in, I don't see how they could get adequate parking and handicap accessibility and so forth for it even to be feasible. The 7 properties to the south, with the exception of the church, they're all commercial properties. So we're not looking for a wholesale change of the entire area. We're just looking to preserve this unique property that basically shares a parking lot with the church and adjoins all of the medical offices. And I certainly respect everyone wanting to have nice residences up Hill Street. I have civic pride riding by looking at those every day on my way to work. But this is not going to harm the people's property values, but I certainly respect their opinions.
Is the church going to remain there, or is it relocating?
It's a functioning church. We have contacted the pastor. He's thrilled with the idea. If you want me to read some excerpts from the letter, They have had great concerns based on the tenants that have been there since it no longer was used as a parsonage. So they are thrilled with this and think that it will be a benefit to the area. There's not going to be any loud music at midnight coming from the dental office. I believe that Dr. Durham is closed one day out of the week. 2 days he's 8 to 5, and 2 days he's 7 to 3. So after 3 o'clock, everyone's gone anyway, and it's just a nice office that he's fixed up in a nice property and trying to preserve the integrity of what's there now.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
All right, any other comments or
Let me point out
questions?
one thing to the commission. Even though Mr. Bullard alluded a minute ago to an equal protection challenge, he did not file a written notification with his application, so you're not charged with having to consider whether or not the property as currently zoned constitutes a taking. That's not before you at this time.
Which I will comment on that. Dr. Durham and we discussed to preserve his rights to potentially file a lawsuit. We could provide the ante litem notice letter, but we said we're going to have respect for you. Put it out there that we feel that this is a unique property. It's not like the much smaller residential lots that are north of there. It is right there with all the other commercial properties. It's got ingress and egress parking right there with the church. And we just said, we'll respect your decision, and we're not going to come in here banging the table saying that we're going to sue the city or anything like that. So we respect your decision either way, but I did discuss that with my client, and we made a choice to not do that.
All right, thank you. I saw some hands up. Are you going to add additional information, or are we just going to have the same thing said?
I would like to comment on some of the comments he made. He reserves the right for further comment if I might have another.
All right, that would be fine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me comment about a couple of things that the gentleman said. First of all, the LLC, I think the records will show that owns the property just north of this property that they're asking for the rezoning on is a real estate holding company for a bank. A bank foreclosed that property. They're trying to sell the property. It is still zoned residential. They can either sell it as a residential property, or they can try to come and have it rezoned so it could be used for something else. And if they did, we'd have the same objection that we have right now. He comments about all the properties south of this property being commercial. We're not talking about the 700 block of South Hill Street or any of the property going further south. We're talking about the 500 and the 600 block of South Hill Street. Everything that he's talking about that is already zoned commercial that backs up to the property on Hill Street all fronts on 8th Street. So he's talking about 8th Street being commercial and everything south of the 600 block of South Hill Street being commercial. That was what our comment was. Then let me remind you that I believe your own planning staff disapproved this request, and I believe that your zoning and planning board members who are volunteers to that purpose, the vote was 4-3. So it was a very close vote there, and it was in contradiction to what your own personal staff had asked them to do. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, Robin? State your name one more time.
Robin Knapp, 611 South Hill Street. Just a couple of comments. Letter from the pastor of the church. He's excited about it. He doesn't live there. We live there all the time. Been there a long time. Small lots that you made reference to that they never could change. I don't see any reason why I can't go together with my neighbor and request a change of 2 lots at the same time. So I don't think that's a valid argument. And also, Mr. Castile just pointed out the fact that there's a medical overlay district 1 block away over on the 8th Street side. That's still a vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Campbell.
My name's Jim Campbell. I ain't moved yet.
All right.
Small lots, you need to turn around and sit behind you. Mr. Bailey back here lives on that corner back up in the bushes, the old mill's home. It's .7 acres. So you're not talking, and like I said, all your stuff, well, you don't live with all of us, you got a big office down there.
I love being closer to you.
Taurus, we talked today about the future land use map, or future comprehensive plan,
Yes, sir.
and that area is defined as traditional neighborhood.
That is correct.
That's what we have tried to support over the years.
That is correct.
And that's what the west side of the street would be considered, so.
Yes, sir. And also in your packet, you have a copy of the zoning map, which shows the location of the requested property. And as you can see, it's from Grace all the way down to Milner. It is yellow, which is low-density residential. All the property that is to the west is red, which is commercial. And all that is actually PCD. Planned Commercial Development, and it's also the location of our medical overlay district.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
I have a couple comments. And I'm in a tough position here. Mr. Durham's my dentist, and I think the world of him. The United Bank issue predates me on this board. I'm not sure I agree with what was done there or not, but that's neither here nor there. I sat through all this when the bank wanted to buy across the street and tear down and move, and we heard the same arguments, and this board made a decision to protect that 2 blocks in the future land use map. It is historic residential district, and it was felt then from this board that any movement from the ends would eventually lead to piecemeal destruction of those 2 blocks. Then Mr. Thacker came up with an issue, and the same argument and the same issues came through, and this board denied this. This is number 3 in my time on this board, which is another coming from the south end. And I think a dental office, in a lot of ways, would be preferable. Mr. Durham and so on would be preferable to some of the residential uses there. However, in any PCD, and this has been alluded to, when something happens to that owner, God forbid Dr. Durham dies or something else, you can have tattoo parlors, ice cream parlors, good grief knows what in PCD. And once you zone it commercial, the horse is out of the barn. As wonderful as the dentist's office is there, the next use could be something that would really be unpleasant on Hill Street next to this, or in this historic district. So this board has to consider what might happen in the future, even though dentist's office there probably is a good use at the moment with a nice man. That ice cream parlor and printing shop and all those other things that are in PCD would not be good neighbors. So think about that.
Well, Scorn does a lot. And I think that someone painted the old car wash there a horrible color and put in tires and put someone out waving tire signs, and it lasted maybe 6 weeks because the scorn of everybody in the community wanted it to be done away with. And eventually they did leave, but the yellow is still there. Give or take the historical nature of certain parts of Hill Street, and it is the block adjoining the bank, where United Bank is lovely. The city has allowed you all to make parking spaces of right-of-way. I can go by Hill Street any time of the day, and I can see numerous, from Robin Nance's house on back to the church, vehicles. At some point, an apartment, a house was turned into 5 or 6 apartments. I saw 2 young people sitting on the roof as I came into the meeting today. And I believe in the historical nature of our city, and I believe in residential. We did vote unanimously for United Bank to turn that house into an adjacent bank use. We allowed Dr. Remington to build a beautiful building on College Street, And the interesting thing about Dr. Remington's building is that the neighbors came in and said, we want this, because he's promised us it'll be a beautiful piece of property, and that it will enhance our own properties. I think that is what has happened there. I do believe that has been well received. We live in a time when people don't have jobs in Griffin, and we wonder what in the world is happening to Griffin. We heard a comprehensive plan this morning where our population is now down to 23,369. We've had 0 building permits in the last 2 years of new family houses in the city of Griffin. Like Dick said, this is a tough decision. Piggly Wiggly was being sold on the block today. What do we protect in our community? What do we offer to people to move here if all we want to do is to preserve the past? I'm not against historical buildings. I love history. I love the parts of Griffin. One of the reasons we moved here were the tree-lined streets of Maple and College. But there comes a time when, as your elected official, we have got to look for what can be beneficial to this community. I don't know how I'm going to vote when it comes up in a few minutes. I truly do not. But I've got to weigh those two issues and know that we did rezone for United Bank to redo that house. They did it beautifully. The 3 parking spaces don't bother me. They're hidden by shrubbery. If we could get a guarantee from Dr. Durham to preserve and to enhance, this area is not a beautiful part of Hill Street, first of all. It's a horrible part of Hill Street. It has not been taken care of. And I don't know who gets the fault for that, whether it's our zoning or the neighbors who put up with it. But are your friends who have become rental landlords and caused the property to decline. I don't know where the answer lies here, but it's not easy, and I want my friends that are sitting out there to know that this is a tough decision to make. And that's all I'll say there.
If I can comment, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. I'll add to that because I know we are kind of talking about a historical element, but we're also, I think the real fear is about the future element of it. We're talking about, not living in the past as far as what has always been there and looking at the kind of uses it can be right now. And from what I'm hearing from people, it has nothing to do with how Dr. Durham's going to maintain the structure or do the structure, because we know he'll do a great job with the structure. It's really all about what happens after that. And, we brought up several points about the other fear, which I believe is encroachment. And we keep talking about everything south of the church or west of it, or how, building across from it. Is PCD, and I think that's the exact definition of encroachment. All we're doing is bringing up examples of past attempts at encroachment, and when we bring up that this is the 3rd attempt and these neighbors keep coming out time after time, that's what they're trying to fight against, is that definition of encroachment. We also brought up the fact that around it is our rental properties. Well, rental properties in their own way can be a burden enough, but to use the fact that we have renters around them is now becoming an additional burden on the people that actually do own their homes. I'm not sure that is a good reason as to why you would want to convert this house into a dentist office. So I just throw that out because I kind of feel like there has been a precedence already of the fears that they're bringing out at this meeting.
Thank you. Doug?
And my concern is, once this starts, 1 or 2 of these rental properties could be consolidated to a larger tract of land, which who knows what could be put back into that location, and in the long run it will devalue what I consider a wholesome neighborhood. And if we want to continue to chip away at what makes Griffin wholesome, we might as well surrender and give up. So I'm going to support. I appreciate your sacrifice and what you do for Griffin. At the same time, these folks deserve their neighborhood protected, and I'm going to support the neighborhood.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, we have several more items for public hearings. At this time, we will receive comments for special use permit to allow for a places of... I'm sorry.
Ms. Cox, can I talk for 1 minute?
Is there anything else that can be said, Mr. Bullard?
I believe so.
Less than a minute. Okay, please.
40 seconds.
All right.
To alleviate a couple of concerns, I think that this could be conditioned on not tearing down the structure. That would alleviate the concerns of setting the precedent of people tearing down multiple houses. Secondly, I don't think a lot of people realize that if you live in a property there, you by right can have a home office. You could be a palm reader, give belly dancing lessons, whatever you want to do. He is trying to make a nice building there that already adjoins this large parking lot and doesn't have a curb cut without ingress and egress through the parking lot into a dental office. So we certainly would welcome any conditions to protect the integrity of the area to be placed on there. I know often you don't like placing conditions, but maybe something could be worked out here to be beneficial to meet both goals here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we will go now to receive comments for a special use permit to allow for places of assembly to be located on a parcel at 115 North 6th Street. Taurus Freeman will address. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. As you stated, we have a commercial Journey Church is requesting a special use permit to locate a church at that location. The property is currently zoned CBD, which is Central Business District. Planning staff did hear this request, evaluated based on all our rules and criteria. They recommend approval of the request with two conditions. The Planning and Zoning Board did hear the request, and they recommended approval with the same two conditions.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and for those who would like to speak for or against this particular project, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone on my left who would like to come forward and speak for Journey Church? Is there anyone on my right who would like to come forward and speak?
Good evening. My name is Michael Moody. I live at 1106 Maple Drive, and I am the pastor of Journey Church. And just a quick word, we have enjoyed being in downtown Griffin for over 5 years. We will turn 7 years old as a church next month. 5 of those years have been located at 315 West Solomon Street. We've rented space in the Dovedown building, and that has been a good home for us. It has served us well, but for many matters, being fiscal and just vision of our church, this new property at 115 North 6th Street offers us many opportunities to serve the city better. And so we are excited about this. The current property in question has been on the market for over 1,300 days. It is from the outside in disarray, falling apart. We will improve the building, save the building, and it become a place here in the downtown area of a place of faith, hope, and love. And so we are excited about this possibility, and we appreciate your consideration in this matter.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
One of the conditions is that you come to an agreement with Spalding County about parking in their lot there.
Yes, sir.
Have you?
Yes, sir. We have been in conversations with Mr. William Wilson and Chad Jacobs. We have not finalized any agreement, but we are in the process of securing parking in the parking lot located on 124 East Broad Street. One of the opportunities we have with the parking lot is that when the church needs the parking lot the most, the county and city need it the least, it being Sunday morning and the evening, so it works out well.
Will you make that also a sanctuary?
Yes, ma'am. On the bottom floor, we will use 3,500 square feet for the sanctuary. There's 6,000 square feet upstairs that will be used for church offices, nursery space. There's also 3 interconnected offices that we plan on using for a business incubator. And the plan there is that we would invite a fledgling business to have a free place to get their business off the ground. We would not charge them rent. They would pay their own utilities. And we would just come to a verbal agreement that after they have stayed in our building for a year, or for however long it takes them to support themselves, that they would agree to stay in downtown Griffin for an agreed upon amount of time. And these are just verbal agreements. We're not going to hold anything legally binding, but this is just our way of showing that we are a church that has a heart for the city. And we believe our faith leads us to not only urban renewal, but economic development. And we want to see that happen in downtown.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
I missed something? I thought you were gonna lease the building. You gonna purchase the building?
Yes, sir. Our intentions are to purchase the building
Okay,
from
I'm-
Mr. Chris Flint.
Misunderstood that, okay.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there other comments from the audience concerning this? All right, then we'll now go to our third item. Receive comments for a special use permit to allow for places of assembly to be located on the parcel located at 814 South Hill Street. Doris Freeman will address.
Yes, this is another church. Legacy Church is requesting a special use permit to operate a church at that location. The property is currently zoned PCD, Planned Commercial Development. Planning staff has reviewed the application and recommended approval with one condition. The Planning Zoning Board also recommended the same condition. This location is actually the old movie gallery next to the Piggly Wiggly. There has been conversations regarding the purchase or the sale of that corporation. As of late, we have contacted the property owner and notified him of any restraints that would be connected with this request if it is approved. As of today, staff did not hear back from the property owner regarding that, but other members did speak with him and notified him of any potential changes to the location.
Right, this is a public hearing, and as such, we invite public comment. So this is an application for places of assembly to be located at the old movie gallery area. Is there anyone on my left who'd like to come forward and address this issue? On my right, what about the city commission?
Yeah, this gentleman is tonight.
Okay, yes. State your name and address for the record, please, sir.
I'm Lynn Bond. I live at 504 Caitlin Circle in Griffin. I'm the pastor of Legacy Life, formerly Impact Harvest. We met in the old East Griffin Elementary School for 8 years, and due to rising cost of upkeep, we decided to sell that building and search out a new place. And after searching for quite some time now, over a year, we finally settled in on the south side over there and chose those buildings that have been empty for a while to try to go after. And new news to me that Piggly Wiggly is now being sold, so I'm not sure how that's going to be affect anything, but we're looking forward to continuing our ministry in Griffin and of helping the citizens.
I'm sorry, I missed your last name. I recognize you, but I missed the last name. Dunn, that's right, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Any comments or any questions from the Board of Commissioners?
I certainly do. I want to drill this a minute. This board has been pretty relaxed on places of assembly and helping churches. I think we've approved most all of them. However, you happen to have stepped into a very interesting situation because under state law, churches and package stores don't mix. And now that Piggly Wiggly...
In church.
Huh?
I said in church.
Or otherwise. Piggly Wiggly's going out of business and in bankruptcy and so on. I guess my big fear is if we approve you as a church and go in there, Piggly Wiggly goes out of business and they try to resell that to another grocery store or similar business, it could be blocked because there's alcohol prohibition now because you're a church there. So we could effectively block redevelopment of an empty grocery store by allowing a church within that restricted area around the grocery store. So this is a serious economic development problem that sort of overshadows our goodwill toward you and your church. I've been to your previous church out there, and I understand the work you do. So this is, what they say in the movies, this is not personal, this is business. So
I understand.
I need our attorney to weigh in on this for us.
We've discussed this at staff level, and of course, there's no impediment on the church occupying this space just because the grocery store immediately next door has a package sales license.
So the church can go there.
But now, right, but once the church comes in, if the licensee goes out of business and is out for, I think it was 6 months, without having another business come in within that period of time, then they would not qualify. Another
grocery store, for example, would not qualify for package sales at that location. That's under state law.
Right.
On the other hand, though, that's not a criteria for denial of the special use permit under your zoning ordinance. So you've kind of got a little bit of a catch-22 out here. I understand where you're coming from on the economic development end, but they've satisfied the requirements with the special use permit.
Right, well, personally, we are trying to recruit. I have spoken with Mr. Smith, and I think he's spoken with Taurus. With the circumstances concerning the Piggly Wiggly, they advised us 2 months ago that there was a possibility and that they would be on the block, that another business may buy them. And if not, then we have been hopefully recruiting another grocer to come in here, at least trying to get them to come look at the area and see that it would fit all their criteria for our market area.
We could effectively block that with the inability to get a...
Well, I think really the landlord, in this case Halpern Enterprises, who owns the shopping center, controls that. I don't know what type of agreement they have with the church, but, they could structure something if they chose to basically boot them out if they decided to bring in another, store.
Well, that would be very nice for them.
Well, I agree. That's not the city's role as such, is what I'm saying to you.
Right. So,
But as of a couple of days ago, it was my understanding there wasn't an issue in regards to the alcohol. Now today there is an issue if the store closes. So I don't know if
the law hasn't changed the last 2 days, Doug, so I don't know.
But we've,
as of last week, I was told the store was not going to close. Okay. Yet I understand that that's changed in the last couple of days.
Mr. Dunn, we appreciate this. Are there any comments from the audience? If not, then we have another public hearing. To receive comments regarding a variance request to allow for the use of unpaved parking service area located at 1121 Ann Street. Taurus will address.
Thank you, Madam. Fortunately, this is our last case for tonight for planning and development.
These people are having fun.
Of course. The applicant, David Clemens Sr., is requesting a variance to allow for the continued use of an on-site unpaid parking and service area located at 1121 Ann Street. The subject property is presently zoned planned industrial development and is a commercial land use. This property does not have a legal grandfather status. Staff was made, there's no legal grandfather status for this property. The applicant, the place of business start operating without the proper licenses. Code enforcement visited the location, informed the business of the infractions. He came to our offices inquiring about obtaining a permit. It was at that time that we found that the property was unpaved, which is actually against our Unified Development Code, which was adopted in April of 2012. The code states that any commercial use has to have paid parking, and which this does not. Staff reviewed the request and did not find a hardship. However, Mr. Clemens did state that it was a hardship due to the financial impacts on a small business. Staff recommended denial of the request. However, in looking at past requests similar to this, the Board of Commissioners have set a precedence by approving one very similar within the past 2 years.
That was off of Melrose?
Yes.
It was also Fay Caldwell's.
Yeah, off of Melrose Avenue.
Yeah, this, by the way, for the record, this is not in my district. Is it Ms. Todd's?
It's in my district, yes.
Ms. Todd's, okay.
All right, this is a public hearing, so those who would like to speak for or against, you're welcome to come now to the podium and speak. I assume that the affirmative has it first. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is David Clements. My address is 662 East College Street. I've owned Davis Drug and Surgical for the last 40 years almost. Been in Griffin about 45. Love Griffin. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. There's several reasons why we're seeking a variance from on this property on Ann Street. I've owned the property for about 25 to 30 years, and we have never had to pave this property. This property presently has gravel on it and is presently used as a car garage, and the renters prefer it to be gravel in that area. The expense of paving the property would greatly increase the rent on the site for a rental unit. There are many other businesses in that same area that do not have paving on them and really do not need it, and they just don't want to pave their property. And it's really tough to expend a lot of money on paving in this tough economy and keep businesses going. Ann Street is not a major road. It's kind of a secondary road, and it has, you know, the type businesses that they have on Ann Street, garages and warehouses and things like that, type businesses that do not really need a lot of paving. This serves no retail purpose. Cars are just dropped off there, of course, and then they're picked up when repaired. And as Taurus has mentioned before, there have been variances similar variances granted in similar businesses in Griffin in the last few years. So I would appreciate the board disallowing this paving, because we're trying to help small businesses in Griffin survive. And if you spend a lot of money on paving, which in this particular situation may not serve a great purpose, I think it would be detrimental in Griffin to make a business pave the area when we're trying to help small businesses survive.
Thank you, Dr. Clements. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and address this issue? If not, then we will now go to our consent agenda. Consider approval of minutes of the regular scheduled meeting on September the 10th, 2013.
Madam Chair, if there are no other additions or corrections noted, I move that we approve them as presented.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we're now into our regular agenda. The first item is to consider a request to rezone approximately 66 plus or minus acres located at 669 South Hill Street from low-density residential B, LDRB, to planned commercial district PCD, submitted by Dr. Stephen Durham. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to deny based on it being a traditional neighborhood.
All right, we have a motion to deny based on traditional neighborhood. Do I have a second? And we have a second. All right, those in favor of denying the request, please raise your right hand. All right, those who approve the request, raise your right hand. All right.
And I abstain because Dr. Durham is my dentist, and I feel like there's a conflict here.
All right, it has been, it was denied 4-3, Judy. Thank you.
No.
4-2 was one of, all right, well then let's make that 2 abstentions. I didn't want to vote on it either.
Well,
okay, it was denied 4-1. How about that? All right, item number 7, consider a request for a special use permit to allow for places of assembly to be located on the parcel at 115 North 6th Street.
as much as this pains me, but with the Wiggly Wiggly situation, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Cancel that.
All right, so do I...
Make a motion to approve.
The conditions as presented.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous, Judy. Thank you. Item number 8, consider approval of a request for a special use permit to allow for places of assembly to be located on the parcel at 814 South Hill Street.
Madam Chair, again, I say, this pains me, but I'm going to move we deny.
Second the motion based on the
Right, we'll have a motion to deny and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, and those who approve, raise your right hand. All right, it has failed by a vote of 4 to 3. The vote to deny was 4 votes against, versus 3 to approve.
No, motion passed.
No, he said motion to deny.
Motion to
deny.
deny passed.
Yes, that's what I
Yes,
said.
by a vote of 4
To
3.
deny.
Right.
Didn't I?
Doug?
Doug and Dick. Dick made the motion, Doug seconded it. Okay, all right. Consider,
Can I make a comment?
please.
And if something comes about where preservation of the grocery store happens, please come back if things can work out.
Yes, I agree.
Okay? It was strictly
Well, it
economic.
may not pass because it's still economic development as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, but
Don't give false hopes. All right, item number 9. Consider a request for variance to allow for the use of an unpaved parking and service area located at 1121 Ann Street.
In consistency with the Caldwell case and others, I move we approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
We approve not.
This is where approved that it
Approving
will
the
not
variance.
have to be
Oh,
paid.
okay.
Yeah. All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, item number 10, consider approval of an agreement between the City of Griffin and Allen Smith Consulting to perform grant administration services for the fiscal year 2013 Community Development Block Grant Award.
I move we approve as presented.
All right, we have a motion to approve as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
can
All
I
right.
make a comment?
Yes, we have a motion and a second, and Mr. Holberg would like to make a comment.
Due to ownership or management of property in this general area, I'll be abstaining from voting. That's it.
He will have to abstain?
Correct.
Okay, all right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's 6-0-1, with Mr. Holberg abstaining. All right, item number 11, consider approval of proposed updated personnel policy manual.
I move we approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 12, consider approval for Net Planner Systems Incorporated to install new single-mode fiber optic cabling from One Griffin Center to the Police Department in the amount of $80,942.69 and amend the budget accordingly.
I move we approve. I have a question.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Okay, your question.
How are they gonna get there? They're gonna go overhead around
Yes,
on the poles like the other cable stuff?
correct. And we're also going in a different direction, just due to the fact of the pole situation, city owns, but this is all part of what we're trying to do with the 911, but we've got to get in good shape with our fiber first before we go any further, and that's part of that survey back that we did. I was out, but Marcus presented it, but that's why we had to do the fiber optic survey. It proved we really, really needed this in order to do what we wanted to do. So,
My motion was not only approve, but also to amend the budget as all of that is presented.
Okay, and and who seconded it?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 13, consider acceptance of a grant from the Central Georgia EMC Foundation in the amount of $2,500 for the purchase of a Prism inflatable light for the fire department.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? All right, any discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, item number 14. In response to the application for radar permit renewal for the City of Griffin, the Department of Transportation has made modifications to the current list of roads permitted for radar use. Chief Strickland will address. Is this information, or are we requiring a vote of some kind?
Yes, ma'am, I need you to vote to approve the changes that the Georgia DOT made in the 5 streets and the speed limit
restrictions.
Good,
Is
okay,
it raising them or
because
lowering
that's
them?
not in here, that's what I wondered.
Make a
All
motion to
right.
approve the lowering.
And they're asking for each one of you to sign the document.
Okay, and what streets are involved?
Oh, great, when I get it.
Personal responsibility there, yeah.
Your friend Cora signed it.
It should be in the attachment.
It is, I want you to state it for the record here. You don't have it, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in the,
Right, I
Looks like
just
one is
thought,
an increase, Frank.
I thought it would
N
be
Street
in the record.
from,
goes from 20 to 25.
okay.
What are they, Doug?
That may be-
Four go from 30 to 25.
Through streets.
That could be.
It's,
About,
Impact and
I don't think anything over 30 miles an
Ninth
hour.
Street.
Okay.
And the signs have already been changed. We had to change them to be able to present the document.
All righty, so we have a motion and a second. Did you get the second, Judy? Who seconded it?
I made the motion. Shear,
Shear, and Doug made the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty, any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, item number 15, consider approval for acceptance of the Justice Assistance, the JAG grant, Assistance Grant. The grant has been awarded by the Department of Justice in the amount of $14,139.
This is a tough one to move to approve. We accept money. I move.
Right.
Second time.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 16, consider approval of an authorization agreement with MEAG Power, naming MEAG Power as the city's agent to nominate and acquire any combination of resources to optimize the city's supplemental power supply requirements. To optimize the city's
I'm gonna move we approve, but I need a little clarification. This was a sort of a mumble jumbo of what they
all
could
right,
do.
we've got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Now we'll have discussion. Tom,
This
tell us
is an
about it.
annual agreement we do with MEAG, and basically, it allows MEAG to purchase any additional requirements we have. It allows them to adjust our fuel mix. Oftentimes, they're able to sell our generation. At the same time, they're able to buy power at a lower cost. So it allows them to maximize those operations.
So we give them pretty much carte blanche to mix and match as whatever they choose.
Yes.
That's why I read it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 17, consider approval of a task order form and with Tetra Tech for Kelsey Avenue, Section 319, grant submittal in the amount of $4,000.
Make a motion to approve, please.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 18, consider approval to purchase a dry carbon feeder system from Water Treatment and Controls Company for use at the Harris Simmons Water Treatment Plant in the amount of $18,210.
I move we approve because I was very concerned when I read that it was intermittently, has been working sporadically.
I love those words, don't you?
Did you write that? Second?
I probably did.
Probably for that.
Hey, that sounds like a marriage.
Well, I just knew Dick would have a comment, so I can't enlighten on it.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Did you second it?
I think I seconded it.
I'm trying to remember.
I think I seconded it.
Okay, all right. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 19, consider the purchase of and accept quick claim deeds lots 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12 in Block C of Carver Heights subdivision in Griffin, Spalding County, Georgia, also known as 1302, 1304, 1306, 1308, 1314, 1316, and 1320 Lincoln Road from the Griffin Housing Authority in the amount of $47,851.55 and amend the budget accordingly. Ms. Board, don't you want to make this motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll make the second.
All right, we have a motion and a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. That concludes our business. Grant, do you have any comments?
Remember, 2:30, this coming Sunday, there'll be the naming of the new name of the pool, for, Ms. Kennebrew. Thursday morning next week at 7:30 is Governmental Affairs. at the Chamber. Remember, next week on October the 3rd, the fair starts.
October the 4th.
You'll be a fair widow again.
The Transportation Committee meets tomorrow at 1:30 at the Annex.
Right.
I'm just full of business, okay. Outside of that, that's all we have.
All righty. Drew?
No comments.
No comments. Very good. Ryan, any comments?
No, just, I'd like to ask about the flats area, the roundabout that we were talking about. I know, transportation meeting, I just wanted to get an update on where the design and everything for that was at, or where we're at in that whole...
The county has asked for additional, design work to go from a roundabout to a vertical realignment.
Who has asked for that, the county?
The county.
And I'm gonna bring that up tomorrow at Transportation Committee for
Why?
clarification.
Why, they don't...
Money.
It's,
Financial.
yeah, they don't feel like they have the money to contribute to a roundabout.
But this is SPLOST, right? I mean, this is...
That's correct.
The funding sources,
Yeah.
mix of the two SPLOST, so I'd be curious to hear how that...
We'll let you know
Goes.
after 1:30 tomorrow.
Right.
Thanks.
Cora?
One other thing, I'm sorry. We are getting ready probably tomorrow. I think we got the last, dislocation of gas services on the 4 projects on Lincoln Drive. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Okay,
interrupt.
very good.
No comment.
Did you sign any documents tonight?
Negative.
Don't be speeding.
It's too late, honey.
Okay. Ms. Ward?
I didn't have a comment, but after we voted, I kind of was dumbfounded up here on the places of assembly. And now that I think about it, I think this is the first time since I've been on this board that we've ever denied a places of assembly overlay, and I'm just, my mouth is just hung open. And maybe it's just me, but the justification that was given to me, just, I don't feel good about it. You know, it passed, it is what it is, but what if 6 months down the road, if the store closes, a year down the road, there's nothing there, nothing comes, you know, and the church, they were okay with the fact that there's already an alcohol permit, and if something else open, it would come. It's just me, but it's just, I don't get no further feeling about this.
I think one of the reasons Taurus has been trying, he and Ken Monet has been trying to reach the representative from Halpern, and because we understand Halpern was aware of this situation. If this store went out, that a new store may not be able to come in with an alcohol license because of the fact the church was now there. But apparently, they as a landlord have been comfortable with that. Last information we heard, and he was trying to confirm that, I guess, Taurus, you still hiding behind the post over there? Okay, well, I don't think you ever made that contact.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because it pained me, but I think we can make a motion to reconsider next time if we learn that this is not a problem, can we not?
Technically, no, because you denied it. I mean, it's not a...
We didn't table it.
It's technically a done deal. Yeah, it probably should have been tabled if you were going to try to hold it.
In retrospect, okay.
Right,
So we
but
can't do a
also
motion to
don't we have the record that the churches don't stay in the storefront churches? Now, Taurus, didn't you tell us that within a certain amount of time they leave?
He's
Taurus left.
Yeah, but we were told that either this morning or last time that we met, that traditionally the storefront churches stay there for a short amount of time and then they leave.
Many do.
Many do, but this church has been here in East Griffin for a while, and I know the building they've been in, and like they had a lot of members here, and I'm just, like I said, I don't get no further feeling about the fact.
We have to consider that there's 2 other big buildings out there on both sides of Piggly Wiggly that's been vacant for years. No one is...
Well, you know, the Walmart shopping center is the very same way, and that's, in a way, you know, we've got enough empty buildings here that we need to have some way to fill these buildings.
I'd be delighted if Halpern come in and confirmed that this is not a problem, them renting the building, I'd be delighted to revisit this and prove it.
I've been waiting today for that confirmation to come in, and it had not, so.
Well, of course, Alpern as a landlord wants to see some money come in too. You know, I don't know what the agreement is. You're also would be taking, I don't know, if they're leasing it, they wouldn't be purchasing it, so it'd stay on the tax rolls. So there are lots of things to consider. I surely would have turned down other.
I can't remember turning down anybody.
Okay. Well, Griffin definitely needs churches. She here?
No, I'm...
Dick, any other comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Doug?
Thank you for a good job today.
All right, well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, y'all,
Bye, guys.
adjourn by